Hey guys.
Hey, we're back.
So
Midway through week
we're
2.
we're liking this enough that we're probably we're doing a lot of weekly check-ins, but that's okay.
Probably.
We're doing them
Yeah.
anyway, and it's better than just doing a 7-hour video
Yeah. I
and
mean,
just doing check-ins and posting them that way. But
yeah. We finally found a system and I feel like it works so well that we just want to keep doing it. So we're good.
yeah. All right.
My husky's being bad. Echo, come here. He likes to get in my
Okay, I'm
bathroom where he
making
should be.
progress. Look at that.
Yay!
It doesn't look like I just started the
My
book
goodness.
anymore.
I know. Well, you
And
said you had made it to like what percentage you
it's like
said?
14, 15%. So
Good.
I think
Because
we're
you
good
remember
then.
our new goal for you was 1% this week. So you did it.
Yeah. Yeah.
You set a new goal for yourself.
Yeah. I want to try to at least get a quarter of the way through.
That'd be nice. All right, well, I have made progress, so I have this much left to go.
Mm-hmm.
I got over the slump, and I hit this point. They threw a twist that made me cry,
Oh, wow.
and then it followed
Okay.
up with another a bombshell,
Yeah.
that I was like, I gotta keep reading. And so I kept reading, and then I ended up having to stop because it was like 5:55 and my sister was gonna be up soon. So
Yeah.
I had to continue it the next day. And now it kind of like it's shifted, but we're still kind of in the aftermath of all the chaos. So
Oh, yeah.
this is officially the most violent book I have ever read. Keep in mind, I
Really?
haven't read Game of Thrones, but I would probably compare the
Oh,
level of violence
yeah.
to Game of Thrones level violence,
Oh,
which I'm here
okay.
for, but it did get pretty extreme.
Mm-hmm.
And there was one section that I was like, oh, this might be, I actually
Mm.
found my limit. We found a limit, folks.
Mm.
But it's very thrilling and exciting, and there's just like a whole lot of chaos right now. So I have one minor thing that's annoying me, but I'm pushing through because there's so much other stuff going on. Honestly, my brain is already leaning toward 5-star read from the simple act that this book has made me feel everything. I have cried, I have laughed out loud, I love the romance, I love the action and the violence, I love how gritty it is. It's made me mad both as a reader and as a writer because there have been things
Yeah.
I didn't like. I feel like because it's made me feel everything, that's how, like, that shows how good of a book it is, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I
So,
get that.
yeah, so that's pretty much my little thing. But I'm really happy you got to 10%. So for that big of a book, that says a lot.
Yeah. So, I feel like got that point where there's a little bit of like hope, just a tiny little sliver of hope. And
Yeah,
so that's what helped a little bit. I feel like I got past the recap section of the episode. You know, like those recap episode, like the
yeah.
recap section in the episode. Like I feel like
Previously
I
on
got
Smallville.
yeah, like I feel like I got past the recap bit, and so now we're actually kind of
Okay,
getting into the story a little bit, which is helping. Um,
cool.
none of the
Which in
problems
this
are
case, it
solved
would be
yet.
previously on Throne of Glass.
Yeah. So, you know, I
That's
feel
good. I'm
like
glad
none
you
of the
got through there.
problems are actually solved yet.
I mean,
But
it's got 900 pages, so it probably is not going to
yeah,
get resolved anytime soon.
almost 1,000. It's 980, so it's like
Yeah,
it's a chunky book. Ugh, it's such a big book.
it is.
Anyway,
But
but yeah, so
yeah,
that's that. I like
okay.
it though so
I have
far.
so
Like
much I
they're a
want to
new
say though.
problem. Like the characters are
Mhm.
progressing, but they're running into new problems along the way. So I kind of appreciate
Yeah,
that. But
that's cool. I
slow
know.
progression.
I I definitely called one antagonist. I was wrong about another one,
Mm.
and the bombshell was, oh my gosh, it was a big bombshell right after that other twist had been thrown in there. So
Yeah.
I'm really curious to get your thoughts because there's so much specific stuff that I want to talk about that I can't for spoiler purposes,
Gotcha.
that I'd be interested to see how you react to some of
Mm-hmm.
the stuff in this book. So when you do finish the one that you're at, I am like,
Mm-hmm.
who needs to read Bloodguard next? So I
Okay.
need another drink of water. So we
Okay.
did
See.
have several different things to talk about today, book theories and book news. We both looked
Yeah.
up our own little things
I'm
to
gonna
talk
laugh.
about,
I
so I'm
only
pretty
have
excited.
one book news. I'm gonna laugh. It's the same book news as your book news.
I'm gonna
So
laugh
I'm
too.
gonna laugh. Because we don't plan these things ahead of time unless it's like
No.
bombshell of a theory, and then we'll share it with each other. So
Yeah.
like the bookish news, we
So
don't
we
typically
literally
share.
don't know. Yeah, we
Yeah.
don't know what each other has planned
Okay.
here, so it'll
So
be
do you
fun.
want to like go back and forth, or like you
We can go
dump all
back and forth.
yours, I dump all mine?
We can go back and forth. So my first one is a theory about Onyx Storm. So we're going to the
Yeah.
fourth wing for anybody who
Okay.
doesn't know what Onyx Storm is. Two books, Fourth Wing, Iron Flame already out. Onyx Storm is coming out at the end of January. So
Yeah.
people are going theories. This probably is going to have spoilers for Fourth Wing and Iron Flame just because the theory
Yeah.
itself is planning the third book. So just forewarning on that.
Yeah.
So the article is a Screen Rant article, and it was saying how Rebecca Yarros set up. This is the article, not my thoughts. I'll give my opinion when it's done, so
Okay.
don't get mad at me.
Okay.
Rebecca
Okay.
Yarros set up a love triangle in Fourth Wing that was sort of shut down when Violet chose Xaden over Dane. But Iron Flame set up Dane's redemption, and with Xaden being a villain, it could cause a love triangle reversal in Onyx Storm where she goes back to Dane. And then the direct quote says, "It seems inevitable that Yarros' earlier love triangle dynamic will come back into play throughout Onyx Storm." End
Ew.
quote from Screen Rant. I heartily disagree
Ew.
with this, and I have so much to
All
say.
levels of ew.
Yes.
Ew.
I don't think
Utter
that her and Dane
disgust.
were ever a thing. I
Ew.
actually completely disagree with the premise that it was even a love triangle
It
because she made
wasn't.
it very clear early on that she felt for Xaden different than
And
Dane, and
that's what
Dane has always
irritates
been a
me,
best
is
friend.
because she explicitly
What?
said that she did not like him that way. Why are we
I
reading between
know.
the
Why do
lines when
people
she
still say
obviously
that?
said no?
Yeah.
No means no.
No
You know
means
what I'm saying?
no.
Like, even in books, that's what
Yeah.
that means. You know what I'm saying? I don't know.
I'm like,
Also,
quit trying to
I
make Dane a thing with.
I've
I
always
don't know what
I've
the ship
always
name would be,
believed
but
that the tie with the, because his eyes have always been called, it's been described as onyx, and her first signet was lightning, which you see in storms. So that idea of like, I always took it, even like the little snapshot we got, like I took it as she was gonna go to any lengths to save him.
yep.
Even if that means becoming the bad guy for a time in order to save him. That's how I took it.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
don't
I can
think that
see that.
I don't
I just
think Dane would settle for, I don't think he would just follow her blindly if she's going to choose to play Morley Gray
Well,
character for
it
a
did
bit.
set up his redemption, but the entire premise is wrong to begin with because it's just setting up his redemption as a friend. They're a
Yeah.
best friend, and it's a really good
Yeah.
platonic friendship.
Yeah,
And I feel like,
I
no
agree.
offense, anybody who thinks otherwise is just flat out wrong. You can
I
fight me in the comments if
It's
you want,
like
but I'm
I
just saying,
just
like,
don't
it's not a love
see,
relationship. It really
and
isn't.
I don't see Dane as like, I don't know. I don't I feel like he could have a like he could have a relationship pairing somewhere, but I don't feel like Violet is a good fit for him.
I don't
Like
think so either. And I feel like,
Violet is always like the kind of character that's going to go, like, that's going to break through those molds and those rules and those expectations that are being set there, and the stereotypes that have been placed on her. That's like her thing in the first book.
yeah,
And that's, Dane's all about like rules, expectations, like you are small, therefore you can't do this. You know what I'm saying? Like that's
yeah,
always been his
hmm,
thing.
yeah,
And so it's like from the get-go, I could tell that they weren't going to work.
me
Like,
too.
and yeah,
I could
like he
tell
could
because,
have a
like, Xaden's
redemption,
always believed in
and
her.
he could earn her trust back, because I think that he's completely lost her trust. And I think if there's any kind of redemption, it should be more of him earning her trust back and him earning his friendship back with her, because they were
Yeah,
friends long before they Dane got this romance. From the way I understood it, they were friends for a lot longer than Dane was like romantically interested in her.
yeah. And I feel like sometimes the articles are just like trying to
Wanting
come up
people to
with
do
stuff
like
to talk
wanting
about.
people to do like we're doing right now.
Yeah, basically, which is exactly the point.
Yeah.
But I just don't see the love thing. And to me, her and Xaden have had more ship moments, if you will, so it doesn't even make sense from like a
Yeah.
writer standpoint or a storyline per point, because even if the author did do that, like, it doesn't make sense because her and Dane, like the second book, he's in there a little bit, but it's not, she doesn't have a lot of moments with Dane, so it doesn't make sense
Yeah.
anyway. even if you exclude all the other reasons why it doesn't make sense. It's just like it's not a romance, and there's not a lot of moments. Like the main focus is always on her and Zayden. So
Yeah.
yeah, so I read that. I was like, well, we got to talk about this because I disagree with everything I just read.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. My first one, I've sent this to you already, but I honestly kind of love this theory. There was a
Okay.
quote in Silver Flames. I looked it up to double check. I didn't actually go to the book and look it up, but Google says it's from
Mhm.
Silver Flames, so I'm gonna say, and I'm pretty sure it
Right.
is. I can't remember which quotes are in what happens in which books anymore, but
Yeah.
it essentially the theory is that as they were theorizing that Azrael's mate was actually dead and he was evidence of a mate living through the mate, like living through a mate's death.
Yes, the video you sent me
And
shattered me.
oh, I
I
know.
was like,
And
why would you do this to
the
me?
quote that they have for evidence is you'll know if she died, Azrael said, pausing his work and looking up at Cassian. He tapped his brother's chest with a scarred hand. Right here, you'd know, Cass. And I'm like, my thinking is, and what that person was
Oh,
thinking
my
is,
heart.
how would he know that it happens here unless you've experienced it yourself? Like,
Yep.
anybody that's gone through any kind of hurt or trauma or like uncertainty, it's like kind of like if somebody, like if you were widowed and you lose a spouse, and it's like, like you can't describe or pinpoint what mourning a spouse feels like until you've experienced it. And it's like,
Yep.
in that situation, you can't really voice that without, like, in my eyes, he couldn't actually genuinely say, you're going to feel it here. Because Azrael doesn't seem like a Sheldon type of person. I'm sorry. He's not a know it all. He doesn't act like a know it all. Like, the
Mhm.
logistics, like, you're going to feel it in your heart if you lose your mate. He's not that type of character.
Yeah.
Like,
It was an emotional statement.
yeah, yeah. All right, that was my first one.
I had a lot of thoughts on that one. I was just
Okay, I'm
like I didn't
sorry.
want to
I'm
interrupt you.
sorry. Okay,
It's okay.
thoughts.
I first watched that. I'm not kidding. My heart, even hearing you say the quote
Mm-hmm.
again, it like my heart just so many
Mm-hmm.
feels. I have no words. It's like bang your head on a keyboard kind of just. I actually kind of like this for Azriel,
I do
but
too.
like it just I don't know, it just fits his character so much. And like you said, how would he know unless he knows from experience? And I feel like I don't Sarah J.
Yeah.
Maas seems like one of those intentional people where
And
she's tying
there
three
was a
different
video.
universes together.
There was
So
a video
why would
that said that of her in an interview that made a comment that she is very intentional about her mates. And I think I mentioned this to you like in our personally, like outside of
yeah,
the recording, but like that she will start writing something and she'll get through, she said that she'll go through a scene and then it's very plain whether the characters will work or not, and if they don't work then she has to change it up, you
yeah.
know.
I remember you talking about that.
Well, and part of
I
me
just
just
love
really
it for
kind of
Azriel.
wants, it's Luce, is it Lucian? Is that the Tamlin's friend?
Yes, Lucian. Yeah.
I
I
kind
didn't
of
know what
I
character
kind
you
of
were
want I
talking
kind of
about.
want Elaine with, because I don't want Elaine with Azrael. I know a lot of people, and I did see some other article that made a comment about potentially having um Azrael having an Azrael and Elaine book in the relationship, and it was just like speculation and it wasn't from a really reliable source. But it's like
Well,
I
she's written a connection between them. I don't like it, but it's there in the book. They have a
yeah.
lot of like little moments that could be considered dip moments, if
Yeah.
you will. I don't like it, but it kind of seemed at the time that seemed like that's where she's going. Now we have
Yeah.
all these other theories that may not be, but I don't like it for
I
Azriel.
don't either.
I like the other idea better. And well, maybe we could even you could even do a situation where Elaine's interested in him over Lucian, and he
Yeah. Like
can't
a love
because he's
triangle.
still mourning his mate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so then she somehow gets with Tamlin. Like I could see that,
Yeah.
you know, not
Or
all
like
relationships
Tamlin,
work
or
out
like
in
a
this.
Tamlin Lucian her moment.
Dude, that brings another idea, another aspect to the Tamlin would be good for
Mm-hmm.
Elaine because she's Lucian's mate and that's like Lucian's friend. So that would create so much drama
Drama. Yeah.
and tension. Like it should be
Oh yeah.
Tamlin. It should be Tamlin all the way.
I
Oh,
don't know. There's something about Azrael and Elaine that give me the ick. Them together give me the ick. Elaine, I don't like Elaine, you know this. I
Yes.
I
I'm pretty
she
neutral toward her. I don't
she's
hate her, I don't love her.
whiny. She's just like she just wants to sit and pout and wants everyone to dawdle her and coddle her, and I'm just like, grow up,
Mhm.
grow up.
Yeah,
Everyone else have
yeah,
been in life or death situations, and you're just sitting in a little house coddled away, and I'm like, just hush. And I'm like, she irritates me.
he
Sorry,
deserves
that's
better, and he deserves a more
that
interesting character. This is your Elaine
I
rant.
oh my god, I can
You can
rant
admit
about
it.
her for
I'm just
hours.
kidding.
I guess
Yeah,
she irritates me, and I don't know.
yeah,
I need to get over that maybe because more than likely we're
it's
gonna
okay.
have her book next.
That's how I felt about
I don't
Nesta,
want
but
a book with her.
we'll see.
But
So
apparently it's gonna be a really really long book, and I'm like,
don't. I'm like, that's my
no,
next talking point.
really, huh? Is that your next talking point? Talking point?
Yes.
Okay, all right,
Yep.
go for it.
So yeah, since we're talking about Sarah J. Maas, these
Uh
both
huh.
go kind of in one.
Okay.
She was named the top Spotify author on
I've heard
Spotify
about
Wrapped,
this.
and so she did this interview because she was really
Mm-hmm.
grateful about that. And so she had a lot to say about the narrator, which I'll get back to. But in the
Mm-hmm.
interview, she said, "No surprise, it's going to be a long book." She says about the new ACOTAR book. She goes on to say, "It's too early for me to tell you who it will be about or what's going to happen, but I hope to have more details for you soon."
Didn't she emphasize the word spring?
I don't
I'm
remember.
pretty sure there's what one point in there she emphasizes the word
Mhm.
spring, and that's what gets a lot of people speculating that it's going to be a Lucian book
Yeah. I
or a
don't know. I
spring.
hope Tamlin comes into play. But
I
she
thought a
also
bit more of
said,
like a spring court type thing. Or she could
yeah,
be
that's what I'm
hinting,
saying.
or she
Tamlin
could
in the Spring
just
Court.
be hinting at when she's releasing it.
Yeah, that could be like a spring 2025
Mhm.
thing.
Yeah.
But she also says
Or
about
like
the
announcing
narrator,
or
like the
announce
audio
I don't think she'll release it
announcing it.
in
Oh,
spring of
yeah, she's
next year.
probably
I think
still
she'll
writing
probably
it.
announce it on like in the 10th anniversary or whatever, I think, because that's coming up in the spring.
Probably.
But
Yeah. So, about the Spotify author being the top one, she said, I think it comes down to whether or not the narrator is a fan of the book that they're reading. And then, so basically, like fans embraced Elizabeth Evans, who is re recording the ACOTAR audiobooks for the
yeah.
10th anniversary coming this spring.
Okay,
So, the
that was the
spring
spring bit.
term was about the anniversary. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I also did like I actually agree with that. Like when I've worked with narrators before and the ones that are more passionate about the story, like just
Hmm.
sound better, like the Brandon, um, the narrator of Assassin, like his he really did love Aiden's character and that really shined through in the audiobook. So when you get narrators that do love the audiobooks, that they're actually invested in the story, they care more, as opposed to some of the uh well, I'll just use the word jerk to be nice. The jerks that I've worked with trying to get Immortal done. We'll just I have that's a whole new drama on my channel
Really?
sometime. Um,
Like
well, not
new
new. You
drama
know
for
about it,
me,
but
or okay. I was
no,
gonna say, are
new
you
for people
serious
because I haven't
again?
talked about it.
Again?
No, you
Really?
already know about it. No,
Okay.
it's only
This
happened
is one of
twice.
those things where I have
Agreed.
insider information that you haven't released into a video yet. Okay.
Yeah,
Got it. We're good.
basically. Don't panic. It's
Crisis,
all okay.
heart attack averted. We're good. I was like, are
Oh
you
my god.
serious? Again. But no, we're good.
Oh no, yeah. Brandon's still getting
Oh,
ready to work on Immortal, so
okay, good.
we're
I was
good.
gonna say, I thought we liked this guy. I thought this guy was
We
reliable
do.
after the other two were not.
Yeah, he is.
I'm like,
I was referring to the first two.
I was like, okay. Whew.
So yeah, that's pretty much all the Sarah J. Maas stuff. So I just found it interesting that it's going to be a long book,
Yeah.
and that's no surprise. And then she talked about I can't tell you who it's about or what's going to happen because, like, on the one hand, I'm like, if it was about Elaine, people have been, oh, it's about Elaine.
Yeah.
Like people have been saying that. Wouldn't she just say that?
No.
Why wait? You know what I'm saying? I don't know.
Well, and
It
then
just feels
well,
weird
because
that
like
she's not
she'll.
going to say
I
anything
think
because like
if she
everybody already
even
knows.
hints at it, if she even hints at it, then they're gonna want more information. They're gonna start picking for more. They're
True.
gonna overanalyze things, and so instead of just leading them astray and then making fans mad later when it doesn't go that direction, she's probably just avoiding mentioning anything at all, which I
Yeah,
can
I guess.
understand.
I'm too open, I guess. I don't
Yeah.
know. It's just like that's not how I would do it, but I can't help but tell people. I don't know how she does it, honestly.
Yeah.
I'd be like, it's this character and it's this couple, and I'm writing, and this is the part I'm at. Like,
That's
I'm just
funny.
so open book, but nobody's excited about my book, so I guess she has to be because she's a
Yeah.
mainstream author, so we're good. All right, so
Okay.
those were my technically 2 talking points in one, but we're good. So
Okay.
your turn.
All right. So I
You got
get to
another one.
do
I didn't know.
how many more theories do you have?
I have 2 more different
Oh,
ones.
okay. Well, I'll do mine one at a time then. Okay. Um,
Okay.
and then I have the news thingy, which may or may not be the same thing as your news thingy. So, okay, so this one was
My
a
next
theory
4 kind of
that
news stuff.
wasn't um I've only seen them on like one particular video, one or two, like maybe in a couple Reddit posts, but it's nothing major. But it's like Nesta and Cassian's bargain tattoo. They said it was an 8-pointed star, and since there was currently 7 courts, and there were discussion of like an eighth court being mentioned in the prison. And then the theory
Mhm.
was that Nesta and Cassian could discover the eighth court and rule it hidden beyond the prison and rule it together. And I don't know how I don't know, it just seems almost fan fictiony at this point. I'm not quite
Yeah,
sure how legit it
a little
is or if
too
it's somebody's just
for them,
wishful
you know?
thinking or if it's actually based on fact and stuff. Like I could get the tattoo and it being 8 points instead of 7 for this. I get that. But I just don't know
Well, and
how
I do
much of a
remember the
stretch
8th
that would
court
be.
being mentioned.
Huh?
Well, there has to be something with it because I think I remember that in Silver Flames where they did
Uh-huh.
mention the 8th court, so it has to go somewhere.
Yeah,
You wouldn't just throw that talking point out and
that's
just leave
true.
it kinda hanging.
That's true.
You know, I don't necessarily think it's gonna be Cassian and Nesta ruling it, but it's gotta
Yeah.
come into play somehow.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
So,
Or that could be a
but
tie-in. That could be a tie-in to some of the other series.
yeah,
I
it
might
could
see. I
be.
haven't finished since I haven't finished Throne of Glass yet, but I do have some. I do have some theory, possible ways it could be connected.
Yeah,
There's one more obvious
I
way
gotta
that
get
it's
there.
connected, and then there's one
Yeah,
that I personally like, but I don't know how much of a connection there is with it. But all right,
right. That
do
makes
you
sense.
want do you want to go?
Yeah, I just had one comment though. I don't know why, but my brain is wondering, are we like for certain that the next one's gonna be Elaine? Because how do we know it's not gonna be another Nesta and Cassian book?
I
You know
don't
what I'm
know.
like their story's complete. I don't necessarily want it to be because Nesta, we've got her story. I don't think there's anything else you could do, but like,
Yeah,
I don't know. It's
I
just an
don't
interesting
see.
I guess
I
we'll
don't
find
see her
out.
making because there's only after Silver Flame there's only 2 more books, wasn't there? At least I thought I heard that somewhere. It's like I can't
I
see
don't
her
remember.
making the next 3 just about Nesta and just leaving Elaine off in the dust somewhere. As much as I'm okay
But
with
I don't
that,
think it's all gonna be
but I
about
don't see
Elaine
that's gonna
either. So
happen.
like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I
Elaine
think
doesn't
it's
need
gonna
one book,
be.
much less
I think
3.
I
Well,
think
she does, but
these last ones. I don't know. I feel like they're gonna cover like focus on a couple different characters because I am.
yeah.
We still have Air is it Eris? Is that his name? Autumn Court.
Yes.
Kind of not sure if he's good or bad. I he's
I like him.
interacting more and more. We're seeing him getting involved more and more.
Yeah.
I think there's more with him, and I think there's more with the
I
Autumn
think so
Court that's
too.
gonna happen too. I
And I
don't know.
like his
It just
character,
the courts seem so
like the way he's
unstable.
written.
That's the problem. Like for me, it just feel I don't know. I'm just so paranoid with this Kingdom of Ash thing. It, but the thing is, they're just barely at peace, and that's the part where
Yeah.
like they've always just barely been at peace. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so it's
Honestly, I
like,
want it to end up in some sort of chaotic
hmm
situation,
me
not
too.
just these character development books where it's like
Yeah,
a smaller
yeah,
conflict.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying? Like I'm
yeah.
not in the mood for that kind of
And then I
I'm not
guess,
hoping for that for the
yeah,
series.
and I guess that's where I'm kind of hoping that it gets into more of like an epic fantasy style.
Yeah.
But
Like you can still do epic fantasy plot lines with a romance tied in there. Like it's
yeah,
perfectly plausible.
well
Um
they do it in
so
Throne of Glass, so
yeah.
multiple times. So
All right, so my next one, I don't know if this is news or just a talking point, but either
yeah,
way, so Brandon, I already told you about this personally, but I did want to just bring it up and talk about it for a bit. Brandon Sanderson thinks that J.K. Rowling shouldn't have written scripts for the Fantastic Beasts movies, and that you may be a good novel writer, but you aren't necessarily good at writing scripts. And I wanted to just kind of bring that up and kind of get your thoughts because it's interesting because like I've written scripts for Immortal. And I feel like on the one
Mm-hmm.
hand you have authors like you as the author know your world best. And like for
Mm-hmm.
me, I'd rather be the one to pick what stays and what goes and how it gets worked into the format of a TV show or a movie.
Yeah.
Um, but I do get that script for I guess there's like a technical
Yeah.
art to script writing and stuff, and he feel like the statement itself kind of seems a little arrogant, but I know I've been wanting to read his stuff because he does the Mistborn series. He's revitalized the publishing industry. He's the
Yeah.
biggest one on like the book Kickstarter. He's
Mm-hmm.
earned the most out of any author on Kickstarter ever, and he didn't want to keep giving all this money to Amazon, so he started his own publishing company for his own like universe,
Yeah.
and he created this book universe that's as big as the MCU, but like just with his books. So he's like a really big
Mm-hmm.
prominent fantasy author, but the statement kind of feels arrogant because I really liked the Fantastic Beasts, the first movie. I haven't read any books associated with them, and I didn't watch the next two. So
Yeah.
I don't know why people like what he thought what was bad about it. I didn't know if you'd seen
Yeah.
it or had
No, I
anything to do
haven't
with it
either.
or the books or
I'm
anything like
I'm
that.
waiting to watch all of the I want to watch the movies as I complete the books, and I'm in the
That makes
middle of
sense.
Goblet of Fire, and I just I haven't finished it because I put it down for various reasons. Um
Yeah.
I am partial. I don't like I think part of this is like me getting vibes from like I don't know. I if like for example, if George Lucas still owned Star Wars and he chose to write a novel about Star Wars and in the Star Wars universe, I would think that that would be the most legit canon you could get because it's
Yeah,
literally the
I can see
person
that.
that created the universe writing this. So it's like,
Yes.
yes, I think that if you know you're not a strong script writer, I do think you should have people around you that you can get advice from that are like editors, so to speak, that go through and be like, hey, this works, this doesn't work. Or like, somebody
Yeah.
that could be like a beta reader that could read through this and be like, hey, this doesn't make sense. You need this in context. You don't need this. This is extra information, things like that. I don't think it's fair
Yeah.
to say that the creator of the universe, the creator of that particular fantasy world, should not have should not be writing the script because it's her world. As much
Yeah,
as
that's
people
where I
may
don't like it
disagree
either.
with certain things, okay, I I'm not getting into that other bit, I'm not getting into that. But regardless of your feelings of her as a person, she did make that world. And
Yep.
if anybody's going to write a script, I would think it would be the author of that world. Because if it's not, then it's almost like
Yeah.
a fan fiction, which fan fictions are great, but it's like they're not considered canon.
Mhm. Yeah,
So it's like,
100%.
if you're having somebody else that's not the author and the owner of that world, writing in a book, is it really considered canon? Unless she
Going back to
canonizes
what
it. Now, if
Mhm.
she was okay with it and she had was firsthand had her hands in the writing process and was approving the things that are written, then yeah,
Mhm.
go for it.
Yeah.
It's a
Going
really
back to
weird
what
situation, I would think.
Yeah, going back to what the George Lucas is actually a really good example because I think I remember reading how The Empire Strikes Back. I don't think he wrote the script on that. He had somebody working with him on it or something to
Yeah,
that effect.
yeah.
And it's considered one of the best Star Wars films. If you ask many fans, especially the
Mhm.
OG fans, like
Mhm.
they consider Empire Strikes Back the best.
Oh
That's
yeah.
not my personal opinion, but a lot of people do. And so it's and like getting help in your like if that's not quite
Yeah.
your thing. Like he doesn't do a whole lot of dialogue. He's been open about that along with oh shoot, the guy who did Titanic and Avatar, Cameron.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, him. You guys
Yeah.
know who I'm talking about. The creator who did Titanic and Avatar.
Yeah.
They both have said that they focus more on the technological advancements of the
Mhm.
film industry. And so the storyline
Yeah.
and the dialogue are secondary to them. It's just filler. It's just like
Yeah.
the music or the sound effects or the lighting. To them, it's just another element of the thing and they focus more on the technological advances. So
Yeah.
so the dialogue's not his strong point according to, him, and other fans would probably agree with that. I think it's fine, but
Yeah.
so getting like you said, if she read it and approved it, or if you consent to somebody else working on it, as long as it's like still, I'm really protective of an author's original creation. And that's why Disney owning Lucasfilm has never really rubbed me the right way in the first place. Because to me, it's like, I don't know, I'm just really protective over an author's like universe. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's an interesting thing. It's an interesting talking point thing to discuss, whatever you want to call it. So
Yeah.
that's it. That's all
No.
my for my
Okay.
third one.
Okay. Next one. I've seen a lot of videos here recently talking about the fact that Cassian doesn't physically tell Neston that he loves her. Doesn't physically say I love you.
Yeah.
And some people are speculating, like asking questions like, does that mean they're actually mates if he doesn't actually say that he loves her? Like my question for you would be, do you think it's like foreshadowing trouble or no? I have my
I
own
think it's
thoughts,
an
but
open door. I
yeah,
think it's an open door if the author, it kind of depends on what Sarah J. Where she's going to go with it. Like if it was
yeah,
me as an author, yes, I would throw all I can, all the drama, all the angst at all my couples. I love that.
mm-hmm,
But it depends on if she wants to do more or if they're just going to
yeah,
be like their story's over and they're a happy couple in the background along with
mm-hmm,
Reese and Feyre and the
yeah.
new focus is going to shift to
Like
whoever.
spoil,
Or
like
if they're in the background
yeah,
going to have
yeah.
another conflict.
Well,
You
and
know
I
what I'm
think
saying?
like spoiler alert, like um, the fact that she saved Feyre and Reese from dying twice makes me think that she's not the type of writer that's going to throw a bunch of drama at her relationships. Like I
Well,
could
to me, drama is
see,
not necessarily like, "Oh, we're gonna die."
well,
Like, that's probably
honestly,
gonna be part of
but
it,
my
but
thinking is too is that yeah, there were some times where Tamlin made comments and he allowed the enemy to settle in his lands, but it's like I don't know. It's just but that
Mhm,
didn't really affect Reese and Feyre's relationship together. Like that didn't hinder that. There wasn't some secret woman that comes out of nowhere and there wasn't anything that like put
mhm.
tension on their romantic relationship, if you get what I'm
Yeah,
saying. And so it's just I don't
yeah.
know.
It was all it was all external plot conflicts, like,
Yeah.
getting in their relationship. They didn't actually
Yeah,
have
that's what I'm
drama
trying to
once
say.
the
Yeah.
the first book was over, and then the second one kinda, like, put them
Mhm.
together.
Yeah.
I see she's not really, like, at least in these particular books, she's not really, like, a drama in
Yeah.
the relationship. It's always external, so that makes sense. Um, I don't know, it could just it's interesting, I don't remember if she ever
Well,
really said why, like, in
cuz to be
Cassian's head, like, I
fair,
know he didn't
yeah.
say it to Nesta, but, like, in Cassian's head, why he doesn't.
Yeah.
If she ever got into that
Well,
specifically,
and I
I
think
I don't
that
know, depending on the next book.
yeah. And I well cuz something there too is that there other things that people counter arguments to that people bring up is that there are lots of other quotes where he like like professes how deeply he feels for her and different things. And there's different quotes that you could find in Silver Flames where he's talking about how deeply he cares for her. And I there's like
Yeah,
quotes where he would, that essentially are like, if this isn't I love you, I don't know what is. Those kind of things. And so it's like I don't know
yeah.
if people are just kind of looking into it too much or trying to find things that, are over analyzing things to the point where they find stuff that's I don't know. I mean, did
It
Reese and
probably
Feyre
is.
specifically say that I love you? Or
I
because I
don't
don't think
remember.
Reese ever really said that either. Like there was one particular quote that I remember that was like the closest thing that I would say, like a very intense romantic way of saying that I love you. That seemed
It
very
could just be
Reese.
she's not that kind of person, and
Yeah.
that the characters aren't those kind of characters because it's like a fantasy world,
Mhm.
so it's not quite the same thing. And
Yeah.
I noticed even in this is kind of random, but it's on the same line. I noticed even in movies when a character says "I love you," usually the other one never responds back, and it drives me and Michael crazy because we talked about that. Like
Yeah.
we say "I love you" like a lot, and
Mhm.
so to not answer a family member or somebody when they tell you "I love you" is really weird. But
Mhm.
no, but I guarantee you most movies and TV shows, like, will not actually show the
Yeah.
other character responding, and it's really
Yeah.
weird, and so it just doesn't seem like something that is really written or done, and maybe I'm wrong, we could definitely find like, I would actually be interested now to pay attention to the fantasy romances and see if there are characters that do say it,
Yeah.
because it could just be a writer's choice particularly and not
Yeah.
anything
That's
to do
fair.
with the character arc or whatever.
Okay, did you have anything?
Actually, scrap that. that actually is a point in mine, but it specifically stated why the character is not expressing that, and it's like a deliberate decision
Okay.
for the character. So this is actually a good example of like what people are trying to make Cassian's story out to be
Okay.
in that aspect. So
Gotcha.
all
All
right,
right.
I will let you do your next, like the news that you said, because my next point is about George R.R. Martin, and I wanted you to say yours first, and then we'll see
Okay.
if mine was the same.
Okay. So it
If
was like
that's
an
your
article.
next
I
one.
don't think this is the exact article that I found, but it mentions it anyway.
Yeah.
It said something about 13 years late, George R.R. Martin admits he may never finish Winds of Winter. Is that the
Yeah,
same as
that's the
yours? Okay.
same. Yep.
Okay. It says like
Yep.
unfortunately I'm 13 years late, he says. Every time I say that, I'm like, how could I be 13 years late? I don't know. It happens a day at a time. But it's still a priority. A lot of people are already writing obituaries for me. They're saying, "Oh, he'll never be finished." Maybe they're right. I don't know. I'm alive right now. I seem pretty vital. And it says
Yeah.
there is always speculation about Martin's health at 76, and the Winds of Winter released tomorrow, which of course it won't. Another 13-year gap would put him at 89 for the final book in the series. A Dream of Spring. The idea that he will ever actually finish Winds of Winter, much less the series, seems incredibly like a dream. And then it goes into more details on like questions that are given in the situation, like how far into the book is he, how much is left. He doesn't even seem to be giving hints anymore at this point. If the book doesn't come out, how much is going to be diverged from the later seasons of Game of Thrones, which we kind of talked about. I can't remember if it was like on our
Yeah.
own or in the last live
I think
stream,
that was the
but
last time because I'd mentioned I don't know. I don't know. Let us that might not have been something we brought up on the thing, but I
yeah,
think it was the last live stream
yeah,
that we did. But
yeah,
yeah, I read that and I was the for some reason the people writing obituaries for him like that rubbed me the wrong way. It
yeah.
came off as like really cold-hearted and I feel really bad for him because like I
Oh, I
can't
do
imagine
too.
people being like,
Yeah,
"Oh, you're going to die and you're never going to like that's one of my biggest fears is like not finishing one series or another."
yeah.
And it's just like I don't know, but he's notorious for being a really really slow writer. Like he is the slowest writer I think in the like he probably takes the
Hmm.
record for being the slowest writer. But I really hope that he gets it done and it's just really sad and like I at least he's making a joke about it cuz he's like I'm still living, you know, that kind of thing. So he
Yeah,
seems kind of positive about it, but
yeah.
I'm he is up there in age, so it is kind of like a is he going to be able to finish the next book or not? And I know one of the parts of another article that I read that was kind of along those lines is his really good friend died recently at the beginning of this
Mm,
year. And so that friend had a lot of
yeah.
short stories and he didn't get famous like George R. R. Martin. So he's using his personal money to turn those short stories into short films and is focusing a lot on that right now.
Yeah.
I don't know if that diverts his attention away, but
Yeah.
yeah, I I don't know. I can't remember if he's actually writing the last book now or if there's another book like
Yeah.
I guess it's the last book. As I don't actually read the series, but I do like the TV show up into season 7 or 8. But
Yeah.
yeah, I really hope he gets it done. It's just kind of like
Yeah,
that's one
me
of my
too.
greatest fears. So that's why I had to bring that up because I
Yeah.
had brought that up too on my end because it was like, oh my gosh, I can't
Yeah.
imagine that.
Well, it just makes me
I
think of
want
like
to.
it makes me
Mm-hmm.
think of like all of like these books that Christopher Tolkien released of
Oh yeah,
J.R.R. Tolkien of Tolkien's works, that they're like amazing stories, and like the later versions of them are like the ones that sound the most like his writing style for Lord of the Rings. Like they're not finished. Like you have the earlier versions of the stories, but you see like the change in the stories as he writes them and the progression of the stories, and then they just never finished, and they're never going to be finished, and it's just like kind of sad. You
heartbreaking.
know, it's like,
It
and so
is.
it's like you
It
have this
really is.
awesome series which these people randomly chose to continue writing seasons
That's
on,
the sad
when
part
that
too.
part irritates me. Like it's like,
Yeah.
why would he want to finish it? Like, why would, like, I would be so discouraged. I wouldn't even want to finish the series. I would want to leave fans hanging because, like, I don't know, not the fans, but like, why would
Hmm.
I wouldn't even have the like motivation to finish if the world just moved on without me. like took control of the series and the world and just moved on without me. And it's like, I don't know. I'm just the author over here. Don't
Yeah,
worry
like,
about me.
hey,
Don't worry about my opinion
it's
on
just
it. Don't worry
watch
about
the
me
TV
actually
show.
writing the story. You just keep
Mhm.
doing you, I mean, I don't know.
And I'm
That rubbed
wondering
me
if
when you
that
mentioned
contributes
that
to, like,
when
some
you
sort of
mentioned that the
writer's
other day,
block or
that just
something.
rubbed me completely the wrong way. And I'm like, why would they do that?
Well, I'd never thought about it in that way before, so you kind of brought up a good point that's now rubbing me the wrong way because I didn't even think about that
Yeah, I'm
aspect.
just
So,
like,
but
they're
it's like,
just,
and to me, it's like on the other hand, you have fans like me who hated season 8, and now we like our only hope of a good ending is the book because I'm curious to see where he goes with it because like the spoiler alert, the Jon Snow twist of
yeah,
him being the illegitimate son and actually being the heir to the throne, that was a huge plot point and a huge twist because he's been the illegitimate son for lack of a I don't want to use
yeah,
the cuss word for it,
yeah.
but
No, I
he
gotcha.
was like that's who he was the whole time. He was not important. He was cast aside.
Yeah,
He was hated by the mom because he wasn't her son, and so we just thought he was the illegitimate
yeah,
son.
yeah,
And he uh and so the twist that he actually had some value, some importance, like you're expecting that to go somewhere, and it
yeah.
was one of the best storylines I've ever actually been interested in.
Hmm.
And for it to just he's just going to go back to the wall where he started at season 1 first episode, I think he ends up going to the wall, and I'm like we would send him right back there. So 8 seasons did nothing for his character. I'm like, and I want to know
Talk
where
about
George
a
R.
talk
R.
about a
Martin was going to go with
regression of
that twist.
of character development.
Yeah. And it's like the first several seasons was so loved by fans. It was like such a good that's why it became a big TV show, but that's because George R. R. Martin was there consulting and like working and
Yeah.
it was based on his
Well,
content and his books like
and
one of the other
yeah,
characters Tyrion, he's the dwarf character.
yeah,
He was so strategic and smart and his battle strategies were some of the best I've seen on screen, and
yeah,
he's and political scheming too. And then he just gets really stupid after that
yeah,
when George R. R. Martin, when it's no longer his Tyrion, so to speak.
yeah. Well,
And
and I
there's so
think
many. I'm just
something to think
like,
about too, it's like when you get to 76 years old, like he's not going to be in a huge rush to do things. Like he's lived his he's over halfway done
yeah.
with his life, like he's past that hump, you know? Like it's one of those
Well, it's like
things.
George
It's like,
Lucas selling Star Wars. He kind
yeah,
of wanted to retire. He was done with it. And he
yeah,
said explicitly, because he had gotten married late in life and had a daughter, I think, and he
yeah,
wanted more time with her. And he just wanted
yeah,
to work on independent films away from the public eye because
yeah.
he said in interviews he can never please anybody.
Hmm.
And he was
Yeah.
just getting old and frustrated. And so I can't really blame George Lucas. So it's
You know
imagine
what's
that
kind of
George R. R.
ironic in that
Martin,
whole situation? It's almost like the
mhm.
fans were the ones that run him away, and now they're one of the ones that are crying for him to come back.
I know, I've thought that before too. It's like,
Hmm.
well, you wanted him gone. Congratulations. Look
Yeah.
what happened.
Hope you're
It
happy
just
with
like,
what you've got. Yeah. Sorry,
yeah.
we got onto
Oh,
a movie rant there for a minute, but
yeah.
yeah,
We could have a whole
that was
hour
only
just
kind
on
of
Star Wars alone.
main points that I had. But
Yeah, same here. So, but yeah, I couldn't remember the name. I thought it was a Dance of Dragons, but I was like, maybe it's not a Dance of Dragons. Maybe it was a
yeah.
The Winds of Winter. I get the whole titles mixed up for
Oh,
that one.
yeah,
But yeah,
yeah,
so. But yeah, this book, I swear, it's just like I'm a little like kind of annoyed by something minor, but there's so much other stuff going on. I'm trying to kind of ignore the minor thing, but
yeah,
and then the bombshell was just like
yeah.
I don't even know. I'm trying to even think of like a non-spoilery way to say it, but
No,
just
I
like
get
say
you. No,
at
you're
least
good.
one thing that it's like, ugh,
Yeah. No, I gotcha. You're good.
it's definitely one
Okay.
of those very sad moments.
Yeah. Alrighty. I think we could probably get close to wrapping it up, I imagine. I don't have
Yeah,
any
I
other
think we're
talking points. I think we're good.
yeah, I we've kind of already talked about our progress and stuff. My hope is to finish this tonight. And then I'm kind of getting more into my own series. As my husband kind of pointed out that I have a lot of books that I've written and I haven't published a whole lot, so I need to get to reading and editing. And part of that is just me reading for fun, processing the book and kind of because I have a lot of unfinished stuff, but I can't finish it if I don't remember the characters or the voices or the plot. So that means I want to read a lot of my own books, and this kind of got me in a mood. And I'm thinking about doing Game of Thrones, not Game of Thrones. It's in my head now. Throne of Throne of Glass. My goodness, the Game of Thrones, Thrones of Glass. I'm so confused.
Yeah.
That's where my head got mixed up. Throne of Glass next, because I know you're really wanting me to read it. And one of my indie authors, my editor, her book's coming out in January, and she's re-releasing her first book, Anathalion, and so I wanted to kind of focus on her and some other like that stuff next in January, for my January TBR. So the Serpent in the Wings of Night is getting pushed aside. And so I was like, after this, I may try Throne of Glass kind of casually while I'm rereading some of my own stuff. So I'm hoping to finish this hopefully tonight, but we'll see.
Sounds good.
I'm kind of I got to get through the annoyance. So, but I think that's everything for me. And also, I literally, this book light that my husband got me, this is, it's the most satisfying thing. Oh, I love it. So I just had to do that at least once.
Alrighty.
So we'll see you guys next week.
Yep. See you next week.